This Weird Road is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Off and Boli! Never mind.
Musically talented, we're not. And we're made with faces for radio, but we're always here for you. How you doing out there, folks? This is This Weird Road. I'm Wolf Hammerheart.
I'm Boli Thorn.
And as always, we are here to entertain you and hopefully bring some knowledge and some a different view of the heathen path and heathen view of the world. So,
really could have shortened that to just entertain and educate, but whatever.
Yeah, but you know me, I'm the long-winded one, remember?
I know it.
This is continuation of our series on the Nine Noble Virtues.
This week is self-reliance. Dang it, it is industriousness. Last week was self-reliance. This week isn't so much a current event as a complaint by basically everyone with two brain cells to rub together.
But it is a current issue.
Yeah.
Still affecting us.
We have the head Cheeto in charge has claimed some industriousness, claiming all these jobs that he has created.
He's a big job creator, apparently.
Right. The total count is 75 jobs, period. Just 75, not 100, not 75,000. Nope. 75 jobs. 35 of which goes to the Keystone XL pipeline, 40 of which to the Dakota Access pipeline. So, for one, those aren't even the huge jobs that they were promised.
Right. And for two, blood was literally spilled for at least one
both
match.
of them, really. Any pipeline is going to have problems.
Well, yeah, but
there's spills
one has
every
been
day.
More publicized,
I guess. Yeah, that's
because the one runs.
Well, one more heavily fought.
Yeah, much more heavily fought and contested.
The DAPL.
Yes.
Now here's the other numbers. The jobs that he has cut through removing funding.
That, of course, he fails to mention.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't mention your failures. Art of the deal. Yeah. Asshat. Anyhow, so we have 8,403 jobs lost from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, 315 jobs lost for the U.S. Institute for Peace, 3,200 jobs lost for the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, the 165 jobs for the National Endowment for the Arts, 159 jobs for the National Endowment of the Humanities, and 485 jobs lost for the Corporation for National and Community Service. So what the hell's the net gain there? Oh, nothing.
And not only, is he costing people jobs, is he, all these, on top of all this other, and basically doing the opposite of industriousness, being like darkly industrious or something.
He's making plenty of money.
He's basically said that humanities don't matter. Arts don't matter. There was another big one on that list.
The EPA.
He's basically the EPA regs. Seriously, folks, this is no joke. Watch your foods, because EPA regs are, on top of the jobs he's cut, are gone. He's doing away with most of the regulations.
That's more the Department of Agriculture.
But
as far as foods, yeah.
His administration is doing away with all that, so it's gonna harm our foods and a bunch of other things. So he's also said that the welfare and health of the nation that he presides over means absolutely bupkis to him.
Yeah.
So,
less than bupkis, really. So much so that
it started
he toots his horn about creating 75 jobs,
and then destroyed.
I could fart and create 75 jobs,
right? And he's not joking. You need that many people in here with like air purifiers and whatnot. But I mean, he destroyed how many thousands of jobs and thereby lives and families? I mean,
I'd have to go back to it to actually calculate it.
Yeah, we don't know the actual numbers, but I mean, it's many, many a thousand. And I know I'm swinging a little off topic here as we do, but it really, this guy started out, we all thought or a lot of people had thought he was just a joke. He was a fluke. Well, now the joke has become a monster. And I don't feel I am lax in using that word. I think it's appropriate because
12,600-ish jobs.
Out the door like it's nothing.
Yep.
Regulations that'll affect people's health, out the door like it's nothing. Things that would have helped, because they did in our generation, educate our children, like the public television and the endowments for the arts and humanities, out the door like it's nothing. But he's just a joke. The things he does won't affect us, and we'll be okay.
Well,
no, we're not okay.
Hell, there's 3 kids we know of that go to performing arts schools.
Yeah, that are now basically at risk because of it.
Yeah, well, I guess actually I know more than that because my daughter's, a lot of her friends go to that same school.
Yeah, and several of the kids we know, kids are kids. Sometimes they're not as into their hobbies, but several of the kids we know that are in that school or in that strata of extracurricular activities really enjoy it. It's maybe even things that they want to do with their lives, and now he's at risk of taking that from them.
This isn't even, at least like for a lot of these kids, it's not even about extracurricular activities. These are careers.
Yeah.
That they could go into in arts and entertainment, and they're at risk. In the next 3 to 4 years, these schools could be gone. Are so underfunded that they can't continue to function.
Well, the first step, and it was before him that they started removing this stuff from schools.
Yeah.
But now, you're looking at entire.
That started in the Reagan administration.
Right, but now you're looking at entire schools or academies, as they call some of them, just going to be gone.
Yeah.
So our nation's on the verge of being a barren landscape, and
when I wish I could remember the general's name. I want to say it was during the Nixon administration. They discussed cutting the arts to bolster the military, and he was like, "Then what are we fighting for?"
Yeah,
a military general, is saying, "Why would we go to war if we're not going to have arts
to come home to?" Yeah. And the way this does, in fact, tie back into our topic, folks,
is industriousness, jobs.
Yeah, the industriousness, jobs, and not only that, but it ties also back into, as we said when we started this series, we're often going to reference the other virtues we've already covered because they're like a lattice work that tie into one another.
Yeah.
It goes back not only to industriousness but to self-reliance, where we've got to rely on ourselves and on our community and on each other to stand up against this, to do something, to be industrious and create our own jobs, to fight back. And I know creating your own jobs isn't easy, and it might sound to some people completely impossible, but I'm talking about mom and pop stores for convenience stores and for gaming and clothing needs. They're starting to pop up more, but
I am generally not one to bash the Walton family. But the practices of those stores are atrocious, especially when you talk about small communities. You have I just watched something about this last night. You have entire communities that are built around these mom and pop stores. All of their needs are met, right? And then a Walmart shows up, crushes all those other businesses, which is fine for a time. In big cities, in where we are in Louisville, we have a couple of Walmarts, and there's still plenty of room for as the tagline around here is "Keep Louisville Weird."
Yeah,
there's still plenty of room for those shops for this niche businesses.
But we're probably the exception that proves the rule on that.
Right. But they go into places like Bonneville, E-Town, stuff like that. And they drive out all these other businesses. And then when it's no longer profitable for them, they close down completely. Or if people even mention forming unions, they will shut down a store because they're not going to, they're going to lose a little bit of money, but nothing compared to, what they would if they had to support a union.
Yeah.
They will close down a store just to punish the workers. And what that ends up doing is punishing an entire community.
Yeah. Is that we have to find a way to fight back against this anti-industriousness, I guess, in a way, with our own industriousness. Well, and there are ways to
do that. It's a function of the oligarchy. Where I prefer Olive Garden. Just to throw that out there.
Yeah, but right now we're stuck in the other one.
Yeah. It's a function of that. You have people who are so disconnected from the common man that they're like, oh, well, so what if 400 people lose their jobs? I'm mega rich. Why don't they just stop being poor? Thanks, Paris Hilton. I honestly think she was joking when she said that.
Yeah, it just was caught in a bad light.
Yeah, well,
but I mean, trust me,
she's not good at the comedy.
Trust me, although I'm not ashamed of being poor, and I'm not because it's how I've been my whole life, it's the strata most of my friends are in. But at the same time, believe me when I tell you, if those of us who were poor could just stop being poor by any means other than death, we would.
Yeah.
It's just not that easy.
I still think. Now, I would, trust me, I would love a freaking Powerball winning, whatever. I'd be able to take care of a lot of people. And I'd be able to have, it came up in a conversation today with someone I'm very close to about, what would you do with a lottery winning? Like, what kind of house would you have, stuff like that.
And I think for you and I, because I know one thing we share on that, I don't mean to step on here, but I think it definitely goes back to the virtues for us, for you and I, because I know both of us, we've talked about this before. Well, one of the first things we both want to do is we have a list of friends that we consider family that we want to either buy houses or give financial independence in some other way.
Yeah. Well, I've always said you can't give people money because they'll just blow it and come back with their hand out again. But every one of my friends have some sort of skill that I would absolutely hire them for, and they would be the best. They'd be the highest paid chef in Louisville.
The highest paid whatever they were.
Yeah, whatever you do. My buddy Coob, you would be, even though he's completely, at this point, probably incapable of doing security work, he'd be the highest paid security guard in all of Louisville.
And the most artistic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, look at that, folks. He's saying I'd be the highest paid shitless layabout. I'd be so proud. I don't have a lot of marketable skills except running my mouth. That's why I'm here.
Well, you have some that aren't legally marketable.
Sometimes I can paint the pretty words on the paper. Yeah, those aren't legally marketable in this state, at least.
Gaming.
Yeah, right.
Wait.
I spend so much time gaming, you should call me Neil.
Oh, Flavin.
All right, we're
still on topic.
We're curving a little, but we're roller coastering. We are managing to bring it back pretty quickly.
The reason I brought it up though is that I would still be, even with that, I would still be, helping with other people being industrious.
You would be giving the impetus for other people's. You'd be like the spark,
contributing.
You'd be contributing to their industriousness.
Contributing. I would still be contributing to other people's industriousness.
Yeah.
Even if I never had to work another day in my life.
And I can't say this for a lot of people, but I know you'd still get some sort of job, at least to keep from sitting on your keys.
Haven't I told you my plan?
I don't remember it all, and everybody's lottery dream always changes a little over time too. So.
I'm going to buy a movie theater, right? I'm going to buy a movie theater, and I'm going to hire someone to hire other people, and I'm going to work there as an usher and never tell anyone that I own the place.
He's going to be the ultimate undercover boss.
Except,
that's what he's saying.
I'm just going to get a kick out of sitting around and listening to everyone talk about how much they hate the boss, right?
That
and how much they hate the owner.
Knowingly.
Yeah. They've met a manager who hired them and then hired other managers, and then that hiring manager leaves. So even the person who's there doing the day-to-day stuff doesn't know that they work for me.
Oh, and I was wrong, folks. Apparently he's going to pay me to be a very high-paid movie critic. I was wrong.
There we go.
My role in the society has changed.
Yay! It's still an entertainment, though.
Indeed.
You've went from hand jobs to thumbs up, but whatever.
Well, my hands are still involved. And again, I mean, we're saying some of this jokingly, but and we always talk about how that lattice work of the virtues, and there it is again, because it comes right back to community and hospitality. I mean, there's a lot of hospitality in what you're talking about doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would.
And the funny part is, this is very,
you keep spitting on me. I'm going to knock you out.
I'm sorry, but my face. We hear people a lot talk about the detrimental things in the poor community, how there's
high
crime, liquor stores and every kind of blah, blah. But every poor person I know, which is to say pretty much everyone I know, have these lottery dreams that we've talked about. And I don't know any of them. I mean, everybody's got a little selfish point of, I'd get myself this really nifty car, this or that. but most of them are completely about giving more to their families and their community.
Yeah.
And how often do you hear that come out of people
with money?
With money, unless it's to get fame get more
Yeah.
fame for giving to X charities or whatever.
You know,
it's so rare.
Really, I think as
And I
hokey.
think that gets forgotten about the poor people. That's all I want to say. Go ahead.
I think as hokey as it is, it really comes back to freaking Forrest Gump. There's only so much money a man needs.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is for showing off. I explained today. I said by the way, industriousness. It's serendipitous that's today's topic because I just got a new job today.
Yeah,
which means
woo!
I just lost my old job, but whatever.
But in a way, that's good too because what Boli won't say that I will tell you on air and get smacked for later. He was extremely unhappy at that job, so
the boss was a dick, and I was selling my soul to be there.
Right, and it's a give and take. You get some of your soul back. You're ginger, so only a certain portion.
Yes,
and
more freckles.
And you get, the pay thing will have to be an adjustment. But you'll be more. You and your family on another level will be more comfortable.
Yeah,
because you will come home less stressed. You will come home happier. Actually, Raven is going through something very similar in her life too.
Yeah.
To get in a place where it's
that woman
mm-hmm.
right in the A.
And not Raven, another one.
F that being right in the A.
I mean, it is worth taking a small. I'm doing the thing again, so I'm moving my hands. It is worth taking a small pay cut or a little extra time to drive, commute, or whatever, to make sure you're happy in what you do. Because when you do what you do, just because you have to earn a paycheck, just to go to the salt mines every day, you burn out. You become cynical and bitter. And Raven, Boli here can attest because we've both known her for years, is usually one of the bubbliest, brightest people we know.
Today is the first time I've ever heard her drop the F-bomb in relation to a person.
And actually look at him and say, hey, don't come in this room. I'm not fit for people. I'm not very good at being around people today. No. She's not usually that kind of person.
Actually, what she said was she's not a very pleasant human today.
I'm not a very good human today. Yeah.
And I said, well, that's good because I'm no fan of humans.
But, I mean,
Midgard is swimming with
in
them.
The spirit of industriousness, if she gets over to this other job, she'll actually it'll increase her industriousness because she'll be happy. And same for you now at this other job. Yeah, you don't like the pay cut and a couple other things we won't go into, but for you,
actually, I love the rest of the job. I'll be doing. I've had it before.
You're in a place that you've worked before. You're comfortable. You know what you're doing. You like what you're doing. So it's worth some of all that good is worth the little bit of bad that comes with it.
Right.
And I think a lot of times when people think on their own industrious on how they can produce what they're doing or do what
everybody thinks about the money.
People think so much on the money. They don't focus. They lose focus on how much what they have to trade off in terms of their family, their social life, and most importantly, their own enjoyment.
Right.
A lot of people think you should do a job and that's it. I don't see a problem with enjoying what you do because most of the people I know,
when you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right. And a few of the people that we know that really love what they do, like the Goblin.
Oh, yeah.
They're better at their job for it.
And you know what? Here's the thing. He bitches and moans every time I see him about his job.
Well, the funny part is what he usually moans about is the hours. It's not usually the job itself.
Oh, no. He loves what he does.
Yeah.
Oh, he'd be the highest paid goblin in Louisville, too.
He would, yeah.
He would be my live-in goblin. But no, like, every time he bitches about work, I'll be like, well, there's this and this available. And he's like, no, I like what I do. Yeah, and every time he comes back to that.
Yeah, especially if I'm just going to put out there what his field is, especially if what you present to him as options are not being a cook or a chef. Mm-hmm. He's not interested. He loves working with food, and he's not just good at like the prep and all. He's a good cook.
Oh, I can't.
He's part of the reason. He's a small part of the reason we're both fat, and so is his mother, from whom he got this talent.
Oh. The Goblin's mom helped raise most of it.
Yeah, we've talked. We've actually mentioned her at least in passing, if not by name.
Yeah.
When we've talked about some of the other virtues.
Well, about hospitality.
Hospitality, because if the rest of us didn't know where food was coming that night, or
first words out of her mouth were usually, "Are you hungry?"
Yeah.
Or get your feet off my couch. But that would be followed with,
yeah,
are you hungry?
Or have you eaten? No matter what time of the day you walk into her house.
Yeah.
So, and she loved to cook and to provide for people. And he picked up.
She still does.
Our friend
Every
we
time I
call
walk over
Goblin.
there.
I haven't seen her in years, but yeah, last time I saw her too.
About a week ago.
And by the way, folks, this isn't detrimental. The name Goblin is said with love. He earned it years ago.
And actually, it's Goblin King.
It's Goblin King. So
for those of you who know the Labyrinth, he's actually nothing like Jareth, but he is still royalty.
Actually, he's a little more like Hoggle, but we love him anyway.
But it looks a lot like Hoggle.
But the point is, he's one of the most industrious people we know, and one of the happiest in what he does, which is one feeds into the other. Like,
right.
That's why even though he gripes about his hours, that's why he's ready to get up every morning and go do what he does and come home, do it again.
Now, there's a joke. We referenced In Living Color earlier.
We did.
On the ride over here.
Great TV show from our teen years.
But we all through the 90s referenced that by saying he worked like a Jamaican. Because they had that whole bit of the Jamaican family where everybody's got like 4 or 5 jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we still say,
hey, man, gotta go to work.
Yeah, we still joke about Goblin working like a Jamaican.
Yeah.
Because before he got the job he's in now, which he's been at almost 2 years, I guess.
Yeah.
Before that, he was working 2 or 3 restaurant jobs.
At one point, he was working 3. I think it was short-lived. One of the 3 was.
But it was like a full-time and 2 part-times. And I've been there.
He was sleeping like 3 hours a night if he was lucky.
When my eldest was gestating, I worked at a department store on their dock.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at a movie theater, and I worked in a photo lab. All 3 things. I was working 6 days a week, and it was hell. And I am a guy who likes to keep busy.
Yeah,
but
especially with the physical labor. You're a fan.
I feel better after when I've done it.
Sure, makes you feel like you're more accomplished.
Now for most of my life I've been a man who needed that. But I was talking to Michelle Lee the other day, and I told her, I was like, I kind of want to be a stay-at-home dad. I know that most of the rearing is done now. My kids are all teenagers.
Let's be honest, that's part of why you want to be a stay-at-home dad. Not because the rearing's done, but because your kids are teenagers, you can relate to them and hang out with them.
I am a teenager. Really.
At least one of them is getting into one of our favorite hobbies of gaming.
Yes.
So
and
the other's so madly creative, it's insane.
Yeah. I kind of wish I could get him to open up into other mediums. But
I think he'd do good at anything he tried his little hands at.
Yeah.
He just has certain ones that fascinate him.
So, anyhow, I think I could still be industrious even if I was at home.
Oh, sure. There's lots of different ways to be industrious.
Right. For one, I've been working at crafting some things. Like I've made a dice bag recently. It doesn't sound like much, but for somebody with 10 thumbs, hand sewing anything is kind of a big deal.
He is, and I love you, Boli, but he is like one of the least crafty people I know. So good on you, buddy.
Unless we're talking about like Beastie Boys crafty.
Like he's crafty. Yeah, that's different. Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're very roguelike. That's a different kind of crafty.
Ooh. And my fingers aren't quite nimble. It just has nothing. No, I drain things from people.
That's fairly true, actually, from what I recently heard. Anyway.
Whoa. We'll have to talk about that during the break. So,
I think we just lost half the listener.
Alex is only one person, man.
I know.
We lose half of him.
He felt like half asleep in the chair. Oh, God.
They're talking about sexy things. Anyhow, I don't even know if we really got on what the actual definition of is.
Yeah, I think we may have missed that. We've talked about industriousness. We've said it's this, but we haven't really defined it like we have the other virtues.
Right. When we come back, we can talk about what it means to us individually.
And get more into
as
close to the serious side of it as you're going to get from us.
Yeah, today has been a day, hasn't it?
I think we've needed it. We both had some things going on. So
I lost my job Friday.
But in the spirit of industriousness, you've got a new one. You lost your job Friday. Spoiler alert here, folks. To quote one of my favorite Doctor Who characters, spoilers. We record the shows on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. It's
Wednesday now.
Today, and he's already got another job. I mean,
yeah.
Most people in this day and age don't operate that fast.
That's because I don't burn those bridges.
No, you don't.
I went back because I've gone back to a job that I had previously. And I think we mentioned that already.
You did, yeah.
Yeah. But when I left them, I was always Johnny on the spot for these guys. And I did anything they asked of me and was there whenever they needed me. And I, like a responsible adult, gave them a 2-week notice. I told them from the start that I was going to be looking for better employment because it doesn't pay well.
And I know you were pretty friendly with not like hanging out after work, but like friendly and kind with your boss, and he was kind to you.
Yeah.
And like before you left, it was pretty much a if you need to come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much if you need to come back, the door's open kind of situation.
Which
is nice because you don't get a lot of that anymore, really.
No, he told me if you need a letter of recommendation, if you need anything, but you're always welcome to come back. And that was proven to me today when I showed up there and the buddy, the manager of that establishment.
The former, now current boss.
Yeah. His face lit up. Like, he was like, oh, Boli's here. I almost did it again. It's like, oh, Boli's here. Something great's going to be happening because he just lost 3 drivers.
Oh, wow.
Where he's at.
That. Okay.
And so now he's back up to where he should be because I'm there.
Yeah, so in a way, your timing of losing the other job
I just did the work of 3 people.
I caught what you did there.
Yeah.
But I was still trying to compliment you, jackass. Still, you're at least one more driver up. At least he's went from needing 3 to needing 2. So your timing of losing the other job really couldn't be better in a way for him, at least from his end of it.
I need to contact Ruck and tell him too because he's looking for work.
There you go.
So we'll get into what industriousness means and specifically what it means to us and how it ties to the other virtues.
That part's
when we come back,
I love that part of this little series we're doing because that's all to show how they tie in is always easy. So, kick back, get a snack, listen to some soothing music.
Oh, unless you're listening to my edit, then it will not be soothing music. It will probably make you want to slap your mama.
So, that's soothing to some people. And the point is, relax, take a beat, and we'll be right back with you on This Weird Road.
Thanks for listening. And you can reach us at the PTRN call-in line at 502-276-5665. You can also reach us at ThisWyrdRoad on Facebook and gmail.com. Yep. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in a moment.
This week's musical spot is Mirkwood by friends of the show, The Hell You Say. Thanks for listening to PTRN and This Weird Road.
My heart began to learn. My brain began to
Oh, if that doesn't have your blood pumping, call an undertaker, because you're dead. Thanks for listening to This Weird Road, and we'll be right back. If we said you had a beautiful body, would you release the restraining order? Hi, I'm Boli.
I'm Ulf.
And welcome back to This Weird Road.
I bet it just got a little too weird for a few of you, but bear with us. It'll get worse. I mean, better.
Flavin.
Right. All right, so to slightly recap, we are discussing in our series on the 9 Noble Virtues, specifically this week, industriousness.
Which is completely different than outdustriousness.
Yes, actually, in a way, I guess you could call some of the things we were citing outdustriousness, the negatives
asshole.
and such. Indeed. I'm
sorry, FCC. I'm not allowed to say the words ass and hole together. You could say both, but not together.
Not conjointedly.
It's dumb. FCC is dumb.
They do have their moments, which are most of them.
So
one thing we realized we forgot to do, because sometimes we're a little slow in the uptake, folks, is to define to you, as we have with the other virtues, what industrious means, and then we'll talk about what it means to us, how we interpret it, and such. Boli, you want to take the ball because you're good at taking balls on this one about
right on the chin
about what it means, about what industriousness technically means.
Yeah, well, industriousness would most easily be defined as the ability to produce. For most people, I mean, in America, we live in a service society.
Yeah.
So there's really not a lot of industriousness to go around.
Not enough. Yeah.
Yeah. You take the J.P. Morgans of the world and the Mr. Ford. You take those guys. They had industriousness. They also were wealthy to begin with.
Yeah.
But that's where we were talking about. Like with the lottery winnings, we would help spread.
But basically,
it is the ability to care for oneself or others by producing. And most of us do not have production type jobs, but it's still considered industrious if you maintain.
And you can be industrious. There
productive
are ways,
work.
In my opinion, for me to start running here with how I interpret it, it doesn't have to be work as far as like a 9-to-5 job to be industrious. People that watch children are industrious. People that had these foundations to get things done in communities are industrious. Right. To me, the definition of industriousness is being a cog in the wheel, which sounds dark and Orwellian at first, but I mean,
good use of the word, buddy.
Thank you. Without the cogs in the machine breaks down and nothing happens. And we need those gears to turn, which really the oil for those gears, to keep my metaphor going, is the happiness we were talking about earlier.
Right.
The happier people are at their jobs, the better and harder they work. And the more burned out and displeased they become with their jobs, the more their performance suffers.
This was something that a lot of management has gotten away from. And the owner of Virgin Mobile.
Oh, and the blonde dude. I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name at all.
Whatever the hell his name is.
Because he's somewhat famous outside of just the Virgin Mobile thing.
Right.
So
Branson. Richard
Branson. I was like, Richard Thompson. We had half of the name.
Richard Branson has the right idea when it comes to this, as far as running a business. Mm-hmm. And not just because he's stupid successful, but he is of the idea that the customer does not come first. That the employee comes first. Because if you have happy employees, you will have happy customers. It became a big thing in the late 90s and early 2000s to have a lot of these tech companies, and I'm sure some of them still do it, but they do this whole business where they have like rec rooms and stuff like that at their place of business, and they don't have so much solid 9-to-5 shifts. They have.
I know a couple people that are still in that field who, well, I don't know so much about her particular place of employment, but I know 2 other people that I know from the haunt work that I do during that season, who their quote unquote grown up real world jobs are in the tech field, and they both work for the same company that does very much the thing you're talking about, with the large relaxation areas and rec rooms and things. And at least for people like that, computer people, techie people, are more productive because of it And I don't see where that same different versions, at least of that same philosophy, couldn't work for other places, other fields of employment. It won't work for everything.
I think, well, back to J.P. Morgan, in a sense, you have people like him who think that the more work you squeeze out of an individual is what's important, that they're more concerned about the quantity of work, the more hours you can get out of someone instead of the quality of work. And you have Scandinavian countries that have 6-hour work days, that work 4 days a week, and they're far more productive. And so studies have shown that the average individual working an 8-hour a day job generally only works 3.5 to 4 hours of that day. And when you're talking about people at desk jobs and stuff like that, you have them eating up that time with Facebook games, listening to podcasts of two jackasses who don't know their heads from a hole in the ground.
That sounds familiar.
Spolf and Coley.
Well, I mean,
Spicoli? No,
that's part of our childhood. Different type. We both know people who do or have worked in quote unquote cubicle farms.
Yeah.
And how many of them do we know talk about how bored they get during the day? So they sneak and do this little thing on the computer or on their phone. So, is it about quantity over quality? I guess that's a debate within industriousness, kind of. But I think it's more about the quality, because if you have good quality, I think you're going to get more quantity eventually. Maybe not at first,
right?
But I think it'll happen. I mean, like you said, a lot of the Scandinavian countries sort of prove that rule.
One of the interesting things that I've seen over the last few years, because I like looking into weird statistics and stuff like that, and basically sites like Pornhub and stuff like that, their viewership drops off on holidays. Now, this isn't because people are at home with their families. It's because they're not at work jerking around on their computer. It's take that as literally as you want. But people spend more time watching porn at work than they do at home. And
because they're more bored where they should be occupied.
Yeah. But I've had a job where I had probably 2 hours worth of work that actually had to be done, but 8 hours to do it in. Now, if you're actually getting your job done and you're doing everything you're supposed to do, that's kind of fine. The job I just left, I only needed about 3.5 hours a night, but I was getting 8 hours. It was a physically demanding job, and it did require some downtime in between each segment of work.
Okay,
yeah. It was kind of all one big task, but you needed that downtime. If you didn't, you'd burn out, and it wouldn't be worth your time. For what I was making an hour, it was great, considering I had a lot of downtime on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
If I was making that if I was making those dollars, but only getting the 3 or 4 hours a night, it wouldn't have been worth driving to work.
Right.
So, yeah, you got to build in things like that.
And again, some people kind of double up on the industriousness in that when they work jobs like that, where they're already being at least somewhat industrious, but have all that spare time, they do other things during that time that may further another thing. They may sit there and make little crafts for their Etsy shop.
Right.
Or draw out plans for the book they're writing.
When you have an industrious individual, like one that we know, that I was talking about earlier, that we talked about earlier.
We did.
She's constantly crafty. Michelle's constantly doing something. We'll be sitting upstairs watching some superhero show that I'm sure we'll get the hell suit out of us for if I even mention the initials, but we'll be watching TV. And she's writing, she's painting, she's not knitting, but whatever.
Crocheting.
She's doing, no, I don't think she does that either. But like she's making jewelry or whatever.
Yeah, she is.
And so does one of our other listeners who I happen to know downloads us and listens to us in her car.
Oh, cool.
So we have two 3, counting our
Three
prison
listeners. Woohoo!
We have 1, 2, 3 listeners.
3. Blah. Oh, wait, wrong.
Blah.
Wrong puppet vampire. Sorry. Wrong van puppet.
So,
points to any listener who can call in and tell me what show I referenced, though.
Or just call in. For
Really,
Christ's sake,
we're
someone call us. And I'm like, how would Christ be benefiting?
I was wondering how that. But, yeah, we're off. Give us a minute.
Yeah.
I was wondering that with myself.
I don't know. You know, I keep jumping on the girl, too. She'll keep, Jesus Christ. And I'm like, he has nothing to do with this. Stop it. And then I say things like, for Christ's sake. But, yeah. So, I'm a bit of a hypocrite there. I want my kids to be better than
one the other night that cracked me up that I will not repeat on the air that started with Jesus H. It was hilarious.
You'll have to remind me later. So, anyhow. Industriousness, while I would say is about productivity, it's not necessarily about making things.
No.
Like when
it's as much about what you get out of it.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways as what you put into it. Because again, to tie this as we often do back into the other virtues, it feeds back into community, which again, I mention community a lot with the virtues, which isn't a virtue, but
it is a mainstay of our
to us. Yeah.
faith. Yeah.
I mean, all the virtues really knit together to sort of make the backbone of our community.
Of any community, really.
Yeah, so,
you look at any successful community, any successful community has had all this.
Yeah.
Ancient Romans, all of these things were there. Though charity and stuff like that may not have been. And it's things that we attribute to. Generosity isn't necessarily the same thing as hospitality.
But
they would be hospitable.
Similar, yeah.
You might be mocked the whole time you were in their home, but still. We don't do that crap.
Try not to. Except when we mock each other, which is different.
Well, yeah, but we love it. So, like, when I was working security years ago, I would be in a completely locked down building, and I had timed punches. I had to do my rounds. In between those, I would be sitting at my desk, still watching the monitors like I'm supposed to be, but I would work on my game, on my Marvel game.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Disney, don't sue me. It was back when TSR still owned them. Oh, God, I just dated myself, didn't I?
You did.
Crap on a cracker.
Fudger.
You're older than me. Shut your cake hole. Anyhow, not by a lot. It's by a whole really lot. He could have babysat me in high school.
I mean, I didn't.
Well, that's different.
No.
No, I treated you like a babysitter.
Flavin.
So anyhow, but industriousness, you have to be industrious to be self-reliant. You have to be self-reliant to be hospitable. You have to be...
It helps anyway. I mean, you can be hospitable and not self-reliant or in it, but again, they all tie together and really make each other better.
It does.
That's why I compare them to a lattice work rather than a ladder or a stack of things, because they interlace and strengthen one another.
Indeed.
Much like our communities do
right.
when everything's going as it should. Is the goal of all this.
Pretty uncommon, unfortunately.
It really
communities working together.
What? In an ideal world, though, that would be how it would happen.
And it'd be awesome if we lived in that sort of world.
For even a little bit.
Well, the thing is, though, it's self-perpetuating. If we did live... If we could house, just cut out a chunk of society, a bunch of heathens and kids, and take them and live that life, it would self-perpetuate. The kids would grow up that way, and they would have their little rugrats who would grow up that way, and they'd have their ankle biters who would grow up that way,
and so on.
And other names that for children that are derogatory.
That you couldn't think of right now.
Yeah. Right. So, crumb snatchers?
I had forgot about crumb snatchers. That one always, I think I stay away from that one because it deals with children that almost sounds dirty, so it makes me a little uncomfortable.
Well, and it also implies they're eating off the floor, and that squicks me out in ways I don't like to mention.
Just a little gross. But I think the point of all our rambling really comes down to, like I said, being a cog, but in an important way and in your own way.
And by the way, don't follow
support.
the examples set by graphic designers for businesses and stuff like that. Those cogs would never work. They would turn against each other, and it would never move. It'd be seized up the whole time. Just saying. If you are in the graphic design field and you are given a job to make a cog design for a business, please study just like 5 minutes worth of engineering to make sure that your cogs would actually turn.
Yeah, a lot of pictures of gears.
I step down off my soapbox now. I flip it over. Ta-ta! Sorry.
That may be like the cutest weird noise you've ever made. It kind of frightened me a little. It's like Mary Poppins came into the dang studio for a minute. A big bearded Mary Poppins.
How do you know what size her beard was?
Well, fair.
I'd like to find out. Young Julie Andrews.
Focus.
It wasn't Julie Andrews. That was The Sound of Music.
I don't want those hills to be alive, really. Okay, folks, he's starting to scare me. So,
what, with my fascination with young Julie Andrews?
Yes.
And the fact that she used to
I think it's the
do
non-alphabet.
adult films? Yeah, it was what I just said.
Fair enough.
Anyhow, so, crap, we get back into this. It really, they all do feedback into each other and feed forward into each other.
Yeah,
like next week's is perseverance, which you can only persevere if you can maintain your own well-being through industriousness.
Yeah.
If you falter,
that one's a whole lot about moving forward and not stagnating, as we were talking earlier. So we will get into that one next week. But they all form kind of a big wheel or a ring, really. I mean, where one loops into the other, into the other.
That's why we had to decide. Stop it! Oh, you didn't stop it.
I tried. Sorry, folks.
That's why when we first brought up this idea,
mm-hmm.
we knew we were going to tackle the virtues.
We made sure to lay out the order in which we were going to do it, so the way we could see them interlace best, basically.
But really, no matter which order you took it in, they would all still lead to the next one. If we had started with perseverance, you'd be like, well, you have to persevere to be industrious. You have to be industrious to be self-reliant, to be hospitable,
right,
so on and so forth. You can't maintain frith if you aren't taking care of yourself, so on.
You really can't.
So we've touched on what it means to us and given a basic, really kind of
also
understanding.
Managed to show that we're kind of touched.
Well, yeah. Oh, touched by an angel. She could touch my. Anyhow, I'm in a mood today.
He is, folks.
There's so much going on, but
it's also true.
We talk about these things, and they're so ingrained in us that it is hard for us to define, because it's like,
you have to.
It's like asking,
you have to.
It's asking water why it goes downhill.
Yeah, it is hard to look inside yourself for anything and go, okay, why do I do this?
Let's put a word to it.
Let's define not just a word, it's a series of words and meanings and reasons that you don't really think about when you do something. You just do it.
Yeah.
And to stop and go, all right, why do I do that is tricky. So I do apologize if we have small patches of dead air or large ones on here at times, folks. But like you said, sometimes it's just a little tricky for us to make sure we find the words to relate it to you properly.
Yo, here we go.
To make sure we understand the structure of these things so we don't sound too much like jackasses, and sound a little like we know what we're talking about when we relay them to you, the listeners.
How about
and
this?
again,
all those moments of
you,
dead
the
air,
listeners, can relay it back to us via the line. We'd love to hear it. So
all those moments of dead air are really us giving you a moment to reflect on the wisdom that we have imparted.
yeah, that.
Yes, that's it. Yes, that's it. That's the ticket.
That's the ticket. Hey.
John Lovitz, what are you doing here? Shut up, you putz. I'm not really in the studio. We don't have a studio. This is my kitchen.
That would be why he's not really in.
Oh, well, that was just me trying to impersonate him. Poorly.
Better than me, but hey.
Yes, that's it. That's the ticket. I miss that bit. John Lovitz playing the devil.
It's pretty funny.
I was old enough to appreciate it when it was on the air, if that means anything to you.
No, what you say doesn't usually. Me. Darn. Hey, look at my wrist. I got a turkey in the dryer.
Oh. So, I think now would probably be a good time to start bumping some things.
I think so. It's about that time.
I have no idea when this is going to air as far as a date. But you can constantly check our Facebook page, which I really need to update. But you can check our Facebook page to see when the pub moots are going to happen. It's not really fair to call them pub moots anymore, considering it's
not exactly at a pub, but it still gets the point across. I mean,
our heathen meetups.
And we're not having one in May due to where we live. And
that's what you think.
Like being in Sainicus.
Dude, that's this weekend.
Okay, so we may be having a late one like we did in April.
Yeah, I am fine with that.
For those who don't know, we live in Louisville, and it gets a little nuts this time of year.
First Saturday of May is always really stupid.
Oh, the first week of May is stupid because they screw up our streets and everything. But
I swear,
2 weeks.
I swear, in 1,000 years, Dubai and Louisville, Kentucky are going to get dug up, and they're going to swear that we are a horse cult. Horse cult? Horse.
Horse, for those that speak English.
They're going to swear that our entire city was a horse cult because of all the derby this and
horses that.
Yeah.
Give them a ring of flowers with a wiffle ball bat.
I was thinking Abraham hit me with a wiffle ball bat. The herpes. Now, if you followed that line of thinking, please call us. We're so desperately lonely.
And to follow anything that Boli calls thinking is kind of an accomplishment. It's taken me years. Ow, it was worth it. All right. On that wacky set of notes, folks.
Oh, well, we still got a couple minutes here. So we have the moots. Please check our Facebook pages for that. We do one every month.
We do, yes.
It is a delicious engagement. It's the hibachi sushi buffet at 5613.
That sounds right.
Bardstown Road.
A lot of it is just us chewing the fat and shooting the crap, kind of like we do here on air. But
we almost never talk about heatheny things.
We do try to talk about heatheny things, and as I pointed out to at least one person, in a way, the moots or gatherings themselves are quote unquote a heatheny thing because we're getting together with our community to see how everyone's doing and bring a little mirth to everybody. So,
and there
are some people in that gathering that we wouldn't see otherwise that we really enjoy seeing.
Hi, Liz.
Liz, you're a big one, sweetie. We miss you when we're not at Moots.
Yes, she is. Yes, we do. Shit.
Down boy. Again, folks, mood. He's in one.
2 of them, maybe. So we have that. Again, we have our Facebook page at ThisWyrdRoad on Facebook. We have ThisWyrdRoad at gmail.com. And as I've been informed, the Tree of Life line, not the PTRN line, at 502-276-5665. After the week after this airs, I always do an edit of my own with more gooder music, and I post it on YouTube. I also share that on our Facebook page.
So be sure to look for that and check that out as well. We're always trying to, as much as we fart around and goof off on this show, folks, we are always trying to bring you knowledge and keep people up to date with the things going on in the Ossetry community, which is the main reason that we try to get you guys to call in on that line or leave feedback on the Facebook page or at our Gmail, because if we know if there's something that's important to you in the community that you don't feel like we're covering, tell us and we will.
Right.
We can't know everything about the community. We're good. We're not that good.
John B. left me years ago. So
He got tired of your crap.
did you see that?
Yeah, I don't have
it.
I don't have two
farm?
ravens. The closest I've got is a lame pigeon named Bob. So
You cooing at me?
So help
You
us gather information, folks.
Is you cooing at me?
He's about to
I don't
kill
see
me with
nobody
an old
behind
cartoon.
me. You must be cooing at me.
No, Pesto, that's not what I'm saying.
Am I funny to you?
You're hilarious. Hopefully you're funny to them.
Well, like a clown?
Yes.
That's it!
And while I roll around in a cartoon-like ball of dust, I believe for us, folks, that is, in fact, it. We love you. Thank you for tolerating us.
We tolerate you. Thank you for loving us.
Try to keep the virtues in your heart and the gods in your hindsight. See you next week.
Later, taters.